Dear students, greeting to one and all. This is Dr. Sumati, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce and Management, GFJC KGF, extending a very warm welcome to you all for the session 10 QABD 1 for the second sim BCom. In this session, I will discuss about the tabulation. Hope you have learnt the parts of the table in the previous session. With this hope, let me go to the problem directly. In this problem, firstly, I'll read out the problem. In a sample survey of 100 students, it was found that 50 students were from rural area and non-hostelers. 10 students from urban area and hostelers. In all, 65 students were from rural area. Tabulate the information. So, as we have discussed in the previous session about the steps involved in preparation of the table. First step is go through the problem, and after going through the problem, identify the various variables involved in this problem and then decide upon the heading and decide the number of columns and rows. And the number of rows and columns depends upon the number of variable given in the problem. So in this problem, let me identify the variable. The first variable I have identified here is the area, and the second variable is the students' inhabitants. That is, students stay in the hostel and doesn't stay in the hostel. With this two variable, or let me put this two variable under the suitable caption and the steps. Here I have taken the area. That is, I have chosen area as caption and inhabitants as the step. In area, rural, I have divided the area here divided as rural area and urban area, and inhabitants is divided as hostelers and non-hostelers. For both column and the row, we have one total column as well as one total row. And let me put the information on the table. Now we have taken the number of column as 4 and number of rows is 4. And now let me place the caption rural and urban areas, then total, row, hostelers, non-hostelers, and one row for total. And here first the given information or the data in the table. And a sample survey of 100 students. So 100 students is the total number of students coming from urban area, rural area, and who are staying in the hostel and who doesn't stay in the hostel. All put together, the number of students are 100 that we have taken in the total column, and this total represents the row, total of row and total of column. And next, it was found that 50 students were from rural area and non-hosteler. So coming to the table, out of this 100 students, 50 students are rural students who are not staying in the hostel. So I'll come to the column which indicates the students coming from rural area, and row non-hostelers. That is 50 students have taken here in this respective cell. And next sentence, and the problem says that 10 students from urban area and hostelers. So coming to the cell, that is urban area and also hostelers. So this particular cell represents students come from urban area and stay in the hostel. So I have taken 10 students in this particular cell. And next sentence says that in all 65 students were from rural area. So out of 100 students, the student coming from rural area is 65. So come to the cell which represents the rural students as well as the total number of students. That is, students stay in the hostel as well as doesn't stay in the hostel. So 65 I've taken in this cell. And now with the help of given data, let me find out the information which are required to fill up the table and to identify the students who are coming from rural area and urban area who stays in the hostel and doesn't stay in the hostel. So now with the help of this 100 students, total number of students and the students coming from the rural area, we are able to find out the number of students coming from urban area. 100 minus 65, that is 35. And next, with this information, we'll be able to find out the number of students who are doesn't stay in the hostel and coming from urban area is 25. That is 35 minus 10, you get 25. And now with this two information, that is the total students as well as students coming from rural area and doesn't stay in the hostel, we'll be able to find out the people here nothing but the students coming from rural area and stay in the hostel as 15. That is 65 minus 50, we get 15. And with this two information, we'll be able to find out the total number of students coming from both rural and urban area and stay in the hostel as 25. And now 100 minus 25, that is 75, is the number of students both coming from rural area and urban area and doesn't stay in the hostel. So this is the way you have to tabulate the given information and also find out the missing information. So before we could go for solving the problem, the first step is to give some number to the table. That is table number and head note, that is nothing but heading to the table. So the heading should be given in such a manner that any person wants to understand the content of the table should easily understand, or he should have some idea about the content of the table just by reading the heading. In such a way, the table heading should be decided. So next we have indicated here footnote, and this footnote is meant for giving some extra explanation about the signs or the abbreviation which is used in the table. So in this problem, we have not used any abbreviation or the symbol in any of the cell. So footnote here, we don't want to write anything, but we can mention the footnote. And source note, it is nothing but where exactly the data has been collected from have to be mentioned under the source note. So this is the way you have to prepare the table for the given information and also to find out the missing information. And with this, let me go to the next problem of this session, that is illustration 5. Number of workers in the large factory in 2012 was 540, out of which 30% were female and rest male. In 2014, the strength of the worker increased by 100 female and 200 males. In the year 2016, the total number of workers increased by 25% on its value in 2014. Female workers were 340. Tabulate the above. Just let us follow the steps which I have mentioned in solving the previous problem. After reading the problem, just identify the variable. So, after reading this problem, we have identified the variable as year as one variable, then gender is another variable, that is male and female, and another variable is the. So in this problem, we have identified two variables, that is year and the gender. Year, number of years are given, and then the information about the gender, that is female and male, are given in the problem. So first let's start. Let us present this information in the suitable form or in the suitable table. So after reading the problem, we have to of course mention the table number, and here I have not mentioned the table number, but if you want, you can mention the table number as the illustration number, that is fine. And next, decide upon the heading of the table. So here the heading I have given here as table showing number of workers year wise and gender wise. Nextly, decide upon the number of columns and number of rows, and this number of column and number of rows again depends upon the variable, as we have identified only two variable in this problem. One variable let me choose as caption, and another variable I have chosen as step. So here preferably I'll put it as caption. So here we have mentioned 2012, 14 and 16, and similarly the stub heading are decided here as gender, male, female and total. So with the help of this rows and columns, we'll be able to find out the total number of workers year wise as well as gender wise. And now, as we have decided to take the year as a caption, we have taken year 2012, 14 and 16, and gender male, female and total. And now, from the available information, let us pick out the data that could be put in the table accordingly. Now, when we go again to the problem, in the year 2012, there was 540 workers. So now this cell, it is, I have highlighted here in yellow color. This cell represents the total number of workers irrespective of male and female. Irrespective of the gender, the total column or this cell have entered the total, that is 540. 540 workers are there in the year 2012, out of which 30% were female and rest were male. So, out of this 540, 30% comes to 162 are female and rest of them are male. So, 540 minus 162 is 378. And coming to the year 2014, what the information says here is, in 2014, the strength of the worker increased by 100 female and 200 male. So, the word increased by should be taken into consideration to determine the number of female and male for the year 2014. And coming to this the year of 2014, total column, the information is given very clearly, that is the total number of the workers have increased by, go to the male number of workers, they say the male population have increased by 200. So already there were 378 male workers were there in the year of 2012 and now it is increased by 200. So then the total comes for the year 2014 is 578. That is 378 plus 200, it comes to 578. And with this information, very easily we'll be able to find out the details for 2016. And 2016, the information is, in 2016, the total number of workers increased by 25% on its value in 2014. So, 2014, there were 840 workers. So, in the year 2016, the strength of the worker has increased by 25% on 840. So, on 840, we have to calculate the 25% and which need to be taken as a total. So, 25% of 840 plus 840, we get 1380 as total population. So, with the help of this total, easily we'll be able to find out the other missing information for the year 2016. That is 378 plus 578, we get the total of 956. 956 need to be deducted from 1380 to get the total number of female workers in the year of 2016. So, we got 424 as the number of female in the year 2016 in this problem. So, in this way, you will have to prepare the table for the given information as well as to find out the missing information. So, with this, let me go to the next problem. Next problem is relating to, coming to the next problem, I'll read out first. In a sample study about coffee habit in 2 towns, the following information was received. Town A, female were 40%, total coffee drinkers were 45% and male non-coffee drinkers were 20%. And in town B, male were 55%, male non-coffee drinkers were 30% and female coffee drinkers were 15%. Represent the above on the tabular form. Very simple problem. So, in this problem, we come across 3 variables. I'll just read out the variable now. Town is one variable. Gender is another variable because we have here male and female. And the third variable is the coffee drinking habit of the people. That is coffee drinkers and non-coffee drinkers. So, 3 variables we have identified. And now let us decide upon the number of columns and number of rows. Since here we have 3 variables, let us put 2 variables as caption and 1 variable as rows, preferably. So, it will be very easy to put the information on the table. So, here table number, as I've said earlier, table number can be the problem number, table number 6, and next decide the heading of the table. And here I've selected the heading as table showing coffee drinking habit of town wise and gender wise. Coffee drinking habit of people residing in town A and B and gender wise. So, as we have selected town A and town B as caption, and sub caption can be male, female and total for town A and town B. For town B, male, female and total. And the stubs are habit, that is coffee drinking and non-coffee drinkers, then the total. So wherever you come across more than two variables, preferably we should have total column as well as total row. So then the information can be fit in the table exactly as we think. And now we have divided the town A into three subcaption as male, female, total, and for town B, male, female and total. And now let me go to the table to find out what is exactly given data. Town A says female were 40%. So this 40% female can be put in this cell which represents the total of the column as well as row in the respective column and row. So here total column percent means 100. So out of 100%, 40% were female in town A and total coffee drinkers were 45%. So total coffee drinkers in town A is 45%. So in this cell which represents the total of population who drinks coffee as 45, and then the next information given for town A is male non-coffee drinkers were 20%. So coming to the cell which represents the total male population who doesn't drink coffee. So here is that cell. We are putting 20% here. So with the help of this information, very easily we'll be able to find out the other information to fill up the table. 100 minus 40, we get 60. 60 minus 20, we have 40. 40 should be deducted from 45, that is a given value. We get 5. So 45 minus 40, we get 5. And 5 plus 35, we got 40 again here. And then 100 minus 45, we get 55. So 55 are the total number of people in town A who doesn't take coffee. Similarly, coming to town B, we have already subdivided the column as male, female and total. Your total percentage is 100 of course. And let me go to the information now in the problem. Town B, male were 55. So male population is 55. So coming to this cell that is presenting the total of male as well as total population, both coffee drinkers and non-coffee drinkers is 45. And next information is male non-coffee drinkers were 30% and female coffee drinkers were 15%. Female coffee drinkers, let me put first. Coming to town B, female column, as coffee drinkers are 15 and non-coffee drinkers from male are 30. So with the help of this given information, we'll be finding out the number of female who doesn't drink coffee. This 100 minus 55, we get 45. 45 minus 15, get 30. And 30 plus 30, 60. 100 minus 60, we get 40. And 40 minus 15, 25 is the male population who doesn't have the habit of drinking coffee. So here ends this problem. As I've said, we have to conclude the problem with footnote and source note. So footnote, we don't have any symbols or abbreviation that we have used in the table to be explained here. So footnote here again mark it as nil. Source note was if the problem or the data collected from where it is given is mentioned in the problem, we need to take as source note. And with this information, let me go to the next problem. Problem number 7. In 2006, out of the total 2000 workers in a factory, 1550 were members of trade union. Number of women workers employed was 250, out of which 200 did not belong to any trade union. And in the year 2010, the number of union workers was 1,725, out of which 1,600 were men. The total number of non-union workers was 380, among which 155 were women. Present the information in the suitable tableau form. This is the problem. As earlier I have mentioned, as soon as you read the problem, first identify the variables that are comprised in this problem. We have come across three variables here. Number of year is one variable and gender is another variable, that is male and female. Here because they have mentioned number of women worker and the men worker. So that represents the gender, and next one is the population or the workers who belong to trade union or who doesn't belong to trade union. That is the member of trade union and non-members of trade union. In that way, we have identified the variable, and now let me proceed to prepare the table. As usual, mention the table number and next come out with an appropriate or suitable heading so that any person who reads the table will be able to, before reading the table itself, they'll be able to understand the content of the table just by reading the heading. So, table showing classification of workers based on gender and union membership. So, here, as I've taken as a caption, we can divide the table into 3 columns. One year, second one is 2006 and for the year 2010. And again, these captions are subdivided into 3 sub-captions or sub-columns. That is to indicate the gender, male, female and total. Similarly for the year 2010, male, female and total. And as usual step, we are going to mention member of trade union and non-member of trade union. That is, who doesn't belong to the trade union. As usual, wherever we come across more than 2 variables, one total column on both the sides is very, very important. So let me put the information in the table. In the year 2006, out of total workers in the factory. So they have given the total number of workers in the factory as 2000 and out of which 1550 were the trade union member. Now we don't know the trade union members who are in number 1550 whether they are male or female. So let us take this 1515, the total column for the year 2006 irrespective of their gender. 1550. And next information given here is the number of women workers employed was 250. Out of the total employees of 2000, 250 were the women employee, out of which women employee we have taken here as 250. See, this cell represents the total number of female in the year 2006 working for this particular fact, 250, out of which 200 were the non-member in the trade union, that is 200. And next information available here is 2050 were the women employees and out of which 200 did not belong to any trade union. We have taken down that information. Now let us proceed to find out the missing information which need to be found out to fill up the table. 2000 minus 1750, we get 250 here, and 250 minus 200, we get here. 1550 minus 50, we get 1500 here. So hence the information required to fill this particular columns and rows for the year 2006 we have found out. And next coming to the year 2010, and for 2010 what is available information, let me read first. In 2010 the number of union workers was to 1725. So, member comprises of male and female is 1725. We have taken in the cell which represents the total of the column as well as total of the row for the year 2010 and for the variable of trade union members. Okay, and next information given here is out of which 1600 were men. So 1600 were men coming to the table. Out of 1725, 1600 were men that we have mentioned here. And next information available is the number of non-union workers were 380. So 380 were non-trade union members and out of which 155 were women. So out of this 380, 155 were women non-trade union members. So with this available information, we can find out other missing figures. From the total, it is 1600 should be deducted from 1725. We'll get 125. And as we know, 155 is already given in the problem. We need to add to get the total for this particular column. That is the number of female in the year 2010. 125 plus 155, we get to 80. And next, with this information, we'll be able to find out other missing information. Coming to this total, 1725 plus 380, we get 2105. So, with this information, we'll be able to find out other missing information too. 380 minus 155, we get 380 minus 155, we get 225. 1600 plus 225, we get 1825. So 1825 plus 280, we get 2105. So this is the way we need to find out the missing information that need to be filled up in the table. So here footnote, as we have not mentioned any abbreviation, this becomes nil, and source note all given in the problem that need to be written here. So hence this particular session hence with the illustration number 7. Hope all of you have understood. Thank you very much for listening.